The arrival, a strange girl fell from the sky, but she wasn't human. The sky was dark. Only the twin moons gave light. It was quiet on the edge of human territory, just forests, mountains, and a few old farms. Most people didn't live this far out. But Rico did. He was alone, working on his broken water pump. Sweat ran down his face. His shirt was dusty, his hands rough. He liked the quiet. He liked being far from war and cities. But that night, everything changed. A loud sound tore through the sky. It was like thunder, but sharper, closer. Rico looked up. A ball of blue fire fell from the clouds. It moved fast, heading straight toward the forest behind his farm. Boom, the ground shook. Birds flew away screaming. Trees burned, smoke rose. Hi. Rico didn't wait. He grabbed his old backpack, flashlight, and a small pulse blade. His legs moved fast, even though he didn't know what he'd find. The forest was thick, but he knew every path. After 10 minutes of running, he reached the crash site. What he saw made him stop. In a deep crater, something glowed. Not a ship, not metal. It was a girl. She was lying in the dirt, breathing hard. Her skin looked human, but her hair was silver. Her eyes glowed red, even in the dark. Strange tattoos moved slowly on her arms, like they were alive. Rico stepped closer. She wasn't bleeding. In fact, she looked angry. Then her eyes opened wide. She jumped. Rico barely moved aside in time. She landed where he stood seconds ago, claws digging into the dirt. You're fast, Rico said calmly. She didn't answer. She growled. Her teeth were sharp, not human at all. What are you? He asked. Your end, she hissed, and charged. Rico dodged again. She swung her claws, fast and wild. He rolled under her arm and kicked her legs. She stumbled. Surprised. You don't fight like a farmer, she said. Rico didn't smile. I'm not just a farmer. He threw dirt into her eyes. She screamed. More from shock than pain. She tried to slash again, but he was already behind her. He used a broken tree branch to trip her. She fell hard. For a moment, they both breathed heavily. The girl looked confused. How? She asked. Humans are supposed to be weak. Rico walked slowly toward her. Then you don't know humans. I trained for this. I studied your kind. You're soft, scared. Rico knelt beside her. You've been lied to. Suddenly, a light flashed in the sky. A small black drone hovered above the trees. Its lens turned red. It scanned both of them. The girl gasped. No, they found me. Rico looked at her. Who? My people, she said. They'll kill us both. The drone beeped and flew away fast. We need to move, she said, standing. Rico crossed his arms. You attacked me. Why should I help you? She looked down, then up. Because now we're both targets. Rico thought for a moment. Then he nodded. Follow me. Together, they ran through the forest, back toward the hills, away from the burning trees, away from the eyes watching them from above. Asterisk, the first fight he fought back, and she was shocked. The forest was dark again. Smoke still floated in the air, and fireflies danced above the wet grass. The strange girl followed closely behind Rico, her sharp eyes watching everything. She had just attacked him. Now she walked beside him. The silence between them was heavy. Rico didn't speak. He knew her type: strong, proud, and hiding something. Finally, she said, you could have killed me back there. Rico didn't stop walking. You could have killed me first. I didn't expect you to fight like that. She added, humans don't move like you. Rico gave a small shrug. Most don't, but I'm not most. She narrowed her glowing eyes. Who trained you? He didn't answer. They reached a rocky hill with a hidden path behind it. Rico pushed aside vines and pointed. We hide here. No one will find us tonight. They entered a small cave. Cold wind blew from inside. Rico dropped his bag and lit a small fire. The girl looked at the flame, her expression hard to read. Then she said softly, my name is Sarah. Rico raised an eyebrow. Sarah, alien name. I'm not from your system. I was created to conquer humans, trained since birth. Rico sat down. Why attack me first? It was a test, she said. My mission was to capture a human male and bring him back. But when I saw you, something felt off. Rico looked at her directly. You hesitated. That's why you lost, Sarah growled. I didn't lose. I was surprised. Rico stood. Then fight me again. Sarah's eyes widened. What? You said you didn't lose. Prove it, Rico said. He threw a small metal stick toward her, his spare blade. I want to see what you really are. She stared at the weapon. Then she smiled. You're mad. No, Rico said, stepping into the open space of the cave. I just don't like unfinished fights. Sarah picked up the blade. Fine, no holding back this time. The fight began fast. Sarah lunged. Faster than before, claws out, blade in hand. Rico ducked, blocked, rolled. He didn't have alien speed, but he had instinct, training, and creativity. He used the walls, the firelight, the shadows. He struck low when she jumped. He moved behind her when she blinked. Sarah was strong, powerful, trained like a machine. But Rico fought like a man who had faced death before and survived. Sarah slashed, missed, Cursed in her language. Rico grabbed her arm, twisted and slammed her into the cave wall. She broke free and kicked him hard. He hit the ground, but he didn't stay down. He laughed. "You enjoy this?" she shouted, confused. "You don't?" Rico replied, breathing hard. She looked shaken, not because of pain, but because he smiled. He was bleeding, bruised and smiling. Then her blade stopped at his throat. She could have ended it, but her hand shook. Rico didn't move. Sarah pulled back. "Why didn't you try to kill me?" she asked, stepping away. "Because I'm not your enemy," Rico said. "You just think I am." She dropped the blade. "I don't understand you." Rico wiped blood from his lip. "No one understands humans, not even humans." Suddenly outside the ground trembled. A low hum filled the air. Both of them turned toward the cave mouth. Lights, red and white, scanning the forest. Rico cursed. "They're back." Sarah moved fast to the entrance, her face pale. "That's not just a drone, it's a hunter ship." "How many?" She swallowed. "3 at least. And if they find me with you, they'll kill us both." Rico finished. Sarah turned to him, serious now. "We have to leave, now." "They won't stop." Rico looked outside, then at her. "What happens if they capture you?" She didn't answer. He grabbed his gear. "You better start trusting me, Sarah." "Why would I?" Rico stared into her eyes. "Because I'm the only thing standing between you and death." A long silence passed between them. Then Sarah nodded. They ran outside. The hunter ships dropped soldiers, tall, armored beasts with glowing weapons. They began scanning the ground, sniffing the air, moving with machine-like steps. Sarah and Rico moved silently through the rocks, deeper into the wild. But one of the alien soldiers paused. It smelled something. Human. Alien. Together. It growled into its calm. "We found them." The chase begins. Both hunted. Now they must work together. Night was no longer silent. The hunter ships had landed. 3 of them, shaped like black spears, stood tall above the burning trees. Strange lights scanned the ground, searching for movement, searching for her. Sarah knew what those lights meant. Execution. Rico and Sarah moved quickly through the hills. Their feet made no sound. Rico led the way, his eyes always looking ahead, scanning the shadows. Sarah followed, quiet but tense. She kept looking behind them. "They don't send hunters for mistakes," she whispered. Rico didn't ask what she meant. He already understood. She wasn't just a soldier, she was valuable, dangerous, and now she was marked for death. "Why are they chasing you?" he asked after a long silence. "Because I broke protocols," Sarah said. "I spoke to a human. I didn't kill you. That alone makes me a traitor." "You attacked me," Rico reminded her. "Yes," she said, eyes sharp. "And you survived." They stopped near a river. Cold mist floated across the rocks. The sound of water was loud, but not loud enough to hide the whirring noise of approaching drones. Rico pulled Sarah behind a fallen log. "Down, don't breathe." Loud, one drone passed right above them, spinning, scanning. It paused, hovered, scanned again. Sarah's hand tightened on her blade. Rico grabbed her wrist, shook his head. "Not yet." After 5 slow seconds, the drone flew away. They waited a minute longer before moving again. "Where are we going?" Sarah asked. "To a cave deeper in the valley," Rico said. "I stalked it years ago. Weapons, food, maps, it's off all radar." She looked at him, confused. "Why would a farmer need all that?" Rico didn't answer. "You're not just a farmer, are you?" she asked. He gave a small grin. "I grow things. Sometimes I kill things." She stopped walking. "You've fought my kind before, haven't you?" Rico's face became serious. "Once, during the war. Your kind raided a human base. We stopped you." Sarah lowered her eyes. "My people said that story was a lie. They said humans begged for mercy." "We don't beg," Rico said, eyes cold. "We bury our dead and keep fighting." They moved faster now, deeper into wild lands where even drones couldn't follow easily. But the hunters were still close. One of them, a tall creature with dark armor and a single glowing eye, was tracking footprints. It touched the dirt, sniffed the air, and clicked a command in its language. 2 more hunters split off. They were closing in. By midnight, Rico and Sarah reached the hidden cave. It was covered in roots and moss, almost invisible. Rico pressed a hidden panel near a rock. The door opened silently. Inside, the space was dry and secure. Weapons hung on the walls. Old energy packs glowed faintly. Maps covered the back corner. Sarah walked around slowly, surprised. "This is military level." "Who are you?" Rico sat down and pulled off his boots. "Someone who's tired of running." She stared at him for a while, then said, "I think I believe you now." He looked up. "About what?" "Humans," she said. "You're not weak. You're just different." Rico raised an eyebrow. "Different how?" "You fight like you have nothing to lose," she said. "But you protect others like you have everything to lose." Rico didn't speak. He just handed her a water pouch. She drank in silence. Then suddenly the cave lights flickered. Rico stood up fast. "They've found us." Sarah moved to the Entrance. Outside, she could hear something, not footsteps. A hum. Energy pulses. Rico turned to her. They're not scanning now, they're charging weapons. Sarah's face turned pale. They're going to blow this whole hill. Rico moved fast. We split up. I draw their fire, you take the north tunnel. It leads to the cliffs. No, she said. I'm not leaving you, you don't have a choice. Rico, listen to me, she said firmly. If they capture you, they'll tear your mind apart. They want to know why you're different. They'll study you like an animal. They can try, Rico said, pulling out an energy rifle. But they won't get the chance. Sarah looked at him for a long moment, then slowly reached into her suit and pulled out a small glowing chip. What's that? Rico asked. A disruptor, one use only. It can shut down their tech for 30 seconds. Rico took it, surprised. You trust me with this? She smiled faintly. You're the only one who fights like a beast. Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the hill. Dust fell from the cave roof. Lights turned red. Rico looked at her. Run, I'll follow. She nodded and vanished into the tunnel. Rico turned toward the cave door, rifle ready, heart steady. He wasn't just fighting for survival now, he was fighting for answers, and maybe for her to asterisk enemies or allies? He showed her something no alien ever did. The tunnel was cold and narrow. Sarah moved fast through it, her breathing tight, her thoughts loud. Behind her, the sound of weapons echoed through the rock. She wanted to turn back, wanted to fight beside him, but Rico told her to run. And for some reason, she listened. The tunnel opened to a cliffside hidden by thick fog. She stepped out, her body glowing faintly in the moonlight. She looked back. No sign of Rico. No sign of the hunters. Just silence. Then a small explosion shook the mountain behind her. Dust rose into the air, birds flew away. And still no sign of him. He said he'd follow. What if he didn't make it? She clenched her fists. Something strange pulled at her chest. It wasn't fear, it was something else. Something she had never felt during her training. It felt human. Minutes passed, then movement. Rico limped out of the tunnel, smoke rising from his coat. His face was dirty, one side was bleeding, but he was alive. Sarah ran to him without thinking. He smiled. Miss me? She looked at his arm. You're hurt. I've been worse, he said, sitting on a rock. The disruptor worked, bought just enough time to blow the entrance. They're trapped, for now. She sat beside him, quiet. They stayed there for a long time, saying nothing. Finally, Sarah spoke. Your people are nothing like the stories we were told. Rico looked up. What stories? That you were weak, slow, full of emotion and easy to break. And now? He asked. Now? She said slowly. I think humans are dangerous, not because of your weapons, but because you never give up. Rico chuckled. That's the nicest thing anyone said to me all year. She smiled too, just a little, but then her smile faded. They won't stop coming, she said. I was part of something bigger, a mission to study human weakness. They didn't send just me. Others are watching, learning. Rico's eyes narrowed. So we're a science experiment to your people. We were told Earth must be tested before the full invasion. Rico stood up. Then we need to stop it. She blinked. He looked down at her. You know their tech, their plans. You're my only chance. She shook her head. They'll kill me if they find me helping you. Then don't let them find out, Rico said simply. She laughed. That's a very human answer. He turned serious. You said you were trained since birth. Did you ever have a choice? She paused. No. Then choose now, Rico said. Be more than what they made you. Sarah looked away, down at her hands. The tattoos on her arms moved again, reacting to her thoughts like living circuits. What if I'm already too far gone? She whispered. Then you fight your way back, Rico said. That's what we do. Sarah looked into his eyes. And for the first time, she believed him. The next morning, they moved together. They crossed rivers, passed burned-out trees, climbed rocky hills. Rico showed her old human outposts, hidden bunkers, satellite dishes covered in moss, and ancient war signs carved into stone. He told her about the human resistance, about how humans lost many battles but never the war. Sarah listened closely. This was not the history she was taught. In her world, humans were always defeated, helpless, too emotional to win. But now she saw something different. Survival, hope, defiance. In one bunker, Rico played something on an old device. Music. Soft, strange, full of heart. Sarah sat beside the speaker, eyes closed. What is this? She whispered. Rico smiled. Pain turned into sound. She didn't understand at first, but after a while she felt it, and it made her chest hurt in a good way. That night, as they camped under the stars, she asked him, Do you hate me? He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I should, but I don't. Why not? Because you stayed. She looked at the fire, her eyes glowing in the dark. I don't know who I am anymore, she admitted. Rico poked the fire with a stick. You're not a weapon, not to me. A long silence passed. Then she said something he didn't expect. If they send my sister, we're both dead. Rico looked at her. Your sister, she's stronger than me. Faster, no mercy, she doesn't question orders. She was the true first weapon. I was her test copy. Will she come? Sarah nodded. Yes, if they think I've switched sides, she'll come to clean up the mess. Rico stood, checking his gear. Then we prepare, Sarah looked at him. You'd fight her for me. He didn't answer, he just looked her in the eyes. And in that silence, she got her answer. The truth about humans. Why do humans never give up? The forest had changed, the air was thicker, colder, even the birds had stopped singing. Sarah and Rico stood at the edge of a ridge, looking down at a forgotten valley deep in the shadows, hidden from satellites, maps, and war records. Below them lay a graveyard, but not of bones. A graveyard of human machines. Broken tanks, scorched drones, shattered energy weapons, and burned flags, all half buried in dirt and moss. Rico looked down in silence. This is where the resistance made its last stand, he said quietly, before the treaty. Sarah frowned. The treaty your leaders signed, to give us Earth skies. Rico nodded. But we didn't give up everything, we buried something here. What? She asked. He didn't answer. He just started walking. They reached the bottom after an hour. Fog curled around their feet. The machines groaned softly, as if whispering old secrets. Every step echoed memories of a war most had forgotten or chosen to forget. Sarah walked behind Rico, feeling strange. She had seen battlefields before, had studied human weakness, but this place was different. This place felt like it was watching her. They reached a hidden bunker door buried under debris. Rico pressed his palm on an old scanner. The door opened with a hiss. Inside, lights blinked on one by one, dim, flickering. Power was dying, but not gone. Sarah followed him into a long hallway. What is this place? She asked. A vault, Rico said, where we kept what we couldn't destroy. At the end of the hall was a sealed room. Rico entered a code. The door opened. Inside was a glowing tube, and inside that tube was a child, or at least, it looked like a child. Sarah froze. That's not human, she whispered. No, Rico agreed. But it's also not alien, it's something in between. What is it? The first hybrid, Rico said. Created in secret, our scientists captured one of your kind during the first attack. They studied her, they learned her code, and they tried to mix it with human DNA. Sarah stepped closer to the tube. The being inside floated, asleep, eyes closed. Its skin was pale, its hair silver, like hers. This was hidden from your leaders, she asked. Rico nodded. Only a few of us knew. The governments buried the project after the peace talks. Too dangerous, Sarah's voice trembled. And you kept it alive all this time? Rico looked at her. Because someday we knew they'd come back, and when they did, we needed a secret they didn't expect. You made a weapon, Sarah said softly. No, Rico said. We made a hope. Suddenly the lights flickered violently. Alarms beeped. Rico and Sarah turned toward the hallway. A red light flashed across the walls. Incoming breach. They found us, Rico said, grabbing a rifle. Sarah pulled out a knife. It's her, my sister. Rico nodded slowly. Then it begins, outside the valley. Something moved through the trees. Fast, silent, deadly. She looked like Sarah but sharper, taller. Her armor was darker. Her tattoos didn't move like Sarah's. They burned like fire under skin. She didn't run, she glided. For hunter soldiers followed her, silent as ghosts. Target confirmed, one whispered. Traitor and human hybrid inside. The sister raised her hand. No survivors, back in the bunker. Rico sealed the vault. We can't let them reach the hybrid, he said. If they take it, they'll destroy it, Sarah finished. And use the data to make something worse. She turned to him. Rico, if I die here, I want you to know something. He looked at her, eyes steady. When I came to this planet, I thought I was a weapon, but now I feel something else. When I look at you, I don't feel orders, I feel choice. Rico stepped close. And what do you choose now? Sarah smiled sadly. To stand with you, he nodded. Then we fight together. They moved fast, locking doors, setting traps, powering up turrets. Every hallway became a maze of defense. And then silence. To silent. The kind of silence that only comes before death. The first attack hit like a storm. The sister came through the wall like a shadow. Rico fired mist. Sarah met her in mid-air. Claws against claws, blood against blood. They crashed into walls, shattered stone, tore through metal. You've fallen, Sarah, the sister hissed. You fight for them now, I fight for what's right. Sarah shouted, dodging a killing strike. You were made to lead, I was made to obey. Sarah growled, but I choose this. She kicked her sister hard, sent her flying into the power grid. Sparks rained down. Rico took the shot. The sister screamed. The hunter soldiers advanced, but Rico activated the auto turrets. Laser fire filled the hall. Rico and Sarah stood back to back, surrounded by smoke, fire, and broken enemies, but the sister, she wasn't finished. She rose from the floor, burned, bleeding, furious. And in her hand she held the vault key. Sarah gasped no. Rico raised his gun, but it was too late. The vault door opened. The hybrid was awake. Its eyes opened for the first time, and they were not red, they were human. And they were angry. Last stand they came to kill the human, but he wasn't. Alone the hybrid's eyes glowed with soft blue light, not red like the aliens. Not brown like the humans. Something new. Something in between. Rico stared in shock. The vault lights flickered, cold wind swept through the room, though there was no wind underground. It came from the hybrid's skin radiating power, the childlike being floated above the ground. Her body untouched by gravity, her eyes locked on the sister who had opened the door. The sister stepped back. For the first time, she looked afraid. Sarah moved between the hybrid and her sister. Don't go near it, it's a threat to both sides. The sister snapped, a mistake that should not exist. Rico aimed his weapon. Maybe. Or maybe it's the future. You can't control it, the sister growled. You think this creature will fight for you? It has no side, neither did I, Sarah whispered, until I chose one. Suddenly, the hybrid turned her head slightly toward Rico. And then she spoke, a voice soft but filled with something ancient. You are the one who stayed. Rico blinked. What? The hybrid floated forward, passing through the air like water. Machines around her short-circuited, lights popped. Gravity felt weaker, even the hunters paused, unsure. I saw your memories. The hybrid continued. When I slept, I saw you watching over me, feeding me light, speaking music to the dark. Sarah looked at Rico. You sang to her? Rico looked embarrassed. Not singing, just old songs. I didn't think she could hear them. The hybrid touched the wall with her fingers. Instantly, every screen lit up. Maps, data, enemy locations, alien command signals, all unlocked. Rico single quotes as mouth fell open. She's inside their system, Sarah gasped. She can control it. Rico, she's not just a weapon. She's a bridge. A bridge to what? The sister asked coldly. The hybrid turned toward her. A bridge to something neither of you understand. Peace. There is no peace. The sister hissed. Only power. She leapt toward the hybrid, but Sarah stopped her midair. Their claws clashed. The floor cracked beneath them. This was no longer sister against sister. This was future against past. Sarah shouted. You were born to follow. I was born to question, and I was born to win. The sister roared. Rico fired at the hunters covering Sarah. Two fell. One managed to wound him. Blood poured from his arm. He didn't stop. Keep them away from her, he shouted, pulling out grenades and setting traps across the floor. The battle turned wild. Metal sparked. Smoke choked the air. The hybrid hovered above it all, eyes closed. Mind linked to every machine in the room, she began shutting down alien tech. Across the planet, ships began falling from the sky. Command signals were scrambled. Hunter ships lost contact with the mothership. What's happening? Sarah asked, pinning her sister against a wall. Rico looked at the hybrid. She's shutting them all down. But the sister, even cornered, laughed. You think that matters? The command fleet is already on its way. They'll nuke this entire valley. You'll all die here. Rico frowned. Maybe, but not alone. He hit a switch activating the last defense protocol. Above ground, buried cannons rose from the earth. Old human tech forgotten for years came alive. You brought your army, Rico said, but you forgot what humans are best at. The sister sneered. And what's that? Rico stepped beside Sarah, fighting with nothing left. The sister screamed and charged, but this time both Sarah and Rico struck at once. She fell. But the ceiling cracked. A massive rumble shook the ground. On the hybrid screen, warning, fleet arriving into minutes. It's too late, Sarah said. We can't stop that many ships. The hybrid opened her eyes again. Her voice echoed through the bunker. Then I will stop them. How? Rico asked. She floated higher. By becoming the signal. Wait, Sarah shouted. You'll burn out. You're not ready. I am what I was made to be, the hybrid said, but you gave me a reason to become more. She looked at Rico one last time. Thank you for your songs. A bright light exploded from her chest, blinding white. Data waves, pulses flew into the sky, and then silence. Minutes later, above Earth, the alien fleet turned. One by one, ships shut down, reversed course, not destroyed. Converted. Back in the valley. The hybrid floated down slowly, glowing faintly, but her voice was gone. Sarah caught her. She was alive but silent. Rico knelt beside her. She saved us, Sarah whispered. They looked up. For the first time in years, the sky was clear. No warships. No drones. Only stars. Rico sat down, exhausted, bleeding, broken. Sarah sat beside him. They looked at the hybrid still glowing. What now? Rico asked. Sarah smiled softly. Now we rebuild. A new warrior. She was sent to destroy humans, but now she fights for them. 2 weeks had passed since the sky cleared. 2 weeks since the alien fleet vanished. 2 weeks since the hybrid released her light into the stars, the valley, once full of fire and blood, was now silent. But not dead. Sarah sat beside the hybrid every morning. She didn't speak, didn't move, her body still glowed faintly like a sleeping sun. Her eyes stayed closed, her breathing soft, peaceful. Rico stood at the edge of the cliff, overlooking the remains of the battlefield, scorched weapons, broken drones, and dead hunter bodies still lay below. Birds flew overhead again, green shoots grew where blood once fell. He didn't smile, but he no longer frowned. Behind him, the bunker now served as a shelter. Humans from far settlements had started arriving, resistance fighters, engineers, survivors. They came because they heard what happened. They came because they heard a human and an alien stood together and survived. They came for hope. Sarah walked out of the cave one morning, carrying the hybrid in her arms. People watched as she moved through the crowd. A girl from another world. Carrying something born from both. Not a weapon, not a prisoner, a symbol. She gently placed the hybrid on a soft platform of moss and stone, under the open sky. Then she stood tall and spoke. Her name is Alaya. The people listened. She is not human, not alien. She is choice, she is balance, she is what comes next. Rico stepped beside her, and she's not alone. But the silence would not last forever. Across the galaxy, news spread that one of their own Sarah had turned, that the human weapon project had succeeded, and that Alaya was real. The Empire would not stay silent. They would come again, stronger. But this time, Earth was not alone. Training began. Sarah stood beside human commanders, teaching them alien weaknesses, advanced movement, defense patterns. Rico trained new warriors in the old style, dirty, brutal, survival-focused. They turned the valley into a fortress. And every day, more people came, not just humans. Others. Aliens who defected. Aliens who were tired of empires, tired of lies. One day, a message arrived from space. A signal, translated into every language. We saw the light, we heard the silence. We are coming not to conquer, but to learn. Earth was no longer a battlefield. It was becoming a beacon. One night, under the stars, Rico sat beside Sarah. They looked at the fire like they had on their first night. But now, everything was different. Sarah broke the silence. I used to think I was a mistake. Rico glanced at her. And now I think I was a beginning. She turned to him. You changed me. Rico shook his head. No, you changed yourself. That's the difference between a weapon and a warrior. She smiled softly. What does that make me now? He didn't answer. Instead, he pointed to the cliff. Eliah was standing. Awake, eyes glowing bright but not empty. Full. She looked at the stars, then at the people, and finally at Sarah. Mother. The word made Sarah freeze. Rico stood slowly. Everyone turned. Eliah raised her hands, and the old alien tech across the valley responded. Lights activated. Shields formed. Communication towers hummed to life, but she was not controlling them, she was connecting them. Humans and aliens, soldiers and farmers, engineers and old warriors, all linked. United as one. Days later, in a new ceremony unlike any before, Alaya spoke for all to hear. I was made by two broken worlds, but now, I choose to heal them. I will not be your weapon, I will be your voice. And then she turned to Sarah. You were made to destroy, but you chose to protect. You are no longer a project. She stepped forward and placed her hand on Sarah's chest. You are now a warrior of peace. Cheers rose across the valley. Rico stood in the back, arms crossed, smiling at last. This was not just survival. This was legacy. A new chapter, the beginning of a future where humanity would not just fight to survive, but lead. And beside them stood the one who once came to end them, now standing with armor reborn, blade in hand and purpose burning in her eyes. Sarah, the new warrior, not human. Not alien. Something greater.